All right, welcome to the Rotated Views podcast. This is episode number 11, Earning Your Way. I am your host, Jimmylee Velez. I'm here with Gabe, Goose, and Heck, and we are excited that you're here with us. In this episode, Earning Your Way, we're going to discuss earning your way all the way to the top, success, get-rich-quick schemes, and lessons for moving up in life. We wrap the episode up with quotes from Dennis Prager and Ben Roethlisberger. All right, so that being said, we enjoy kicking off our episodes with a story, and I'm going to jump right into it. So, I was listening to a talk radio show, and they were having a conversation about the Jersey Shore, Wildwood specifically. The storyline was about visitors trashing the beach with their litter. There were even videos posted on social media showing the beach covered with all kinds of garbage. It was pretty bad. The folks who actually live in the town all year, the real residents, were completely disgusted. But there was an interesting point made that this specific weekend, the beach fee was waived. Apparently, it was like an event that they didn't charge for. I guess normally they have events on the beach that they would charge for. I don't think this beach, you don't pay to get onto this beach, but for this specific event, I guess because it was opening weekend, Memorial Day weekend or something like that, they waived, the event was free. So I think that's kind of what they're talking about there. So because it was free, people didn't treat it properly. And that if these people did have to pay, they would be more conscious of their actions and wouldn't trash something that they paid for. So that was an interview that I heard on the radio, and that was one of the residents actually called in to the radio station and said the beach was mobbed with people. And his point was that since they didn't pay for it, they didn't care. And, you know, that they were just leaving.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's because people have the mentality of just like thinking free stuff is let's take full advantage of it, and, you know, they don't see their money going to waste or anything, so they don't care about anything like that. It's so bad. It's our planet. We live on it. Why trash it like that?
I actually seen pictures of the beach, and you see big trash cans, like they have these big barrels, and there's just trash like even like around it. It wasn't even like the trash cans weren't even overflowing. They were just people just where they were. And it's like it was insane.
Lazy.
It's a shame.
It is a shame. And I saw a video of this. And it literally looked like someone got a trash can or a dumpster and was just like dumping it. Mm-hmm. Like it almost looked like, dude, you guys were. It almost appeared. It was so exaggerated. It almost looked like it was purposely done. Yeah. Like it was almost like so vandalized, almost. Yeah. But it does. It goes along that path of if you don't pay for something, you're not going to take care of it as much as if you paid for it.
Oh, it's taking it for granted, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
It's exactly. You have no investment in whatever that is. That you don't care anymore.
Exactly. And that's just it. And the reason why that's important is because when you invest, obviously you have an interest in this thing that you want to take care of it. But if you didn't earn it, right? Or if you didn't pay for it, or you have no investment into it, there's no value. Exactly. The value decreases tremendously. And so it's not something that you care about as much.
Because it doesn't mean anything to you.
Right. Yeah, so the meaning's down, the value's down. So here, I don't care.
You just trash. I don't worry about it. Yeah, and it goes back. I think we had like a story before about like when like it might have been Manny or something. Like he said he used to like. It wasn't until like he actually earned his own like baseball bat or something like that. That he actually took it for appreciation as opposed to somebody just handing him like an old ratty one, because it doesn't matter as much because it was given to you for free. But when he actually felt like he earned it, then he actually appreciated it something more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh no, that was me.
Was that you?
Yeah, that was me. That's right. I was like in the minor league. I got my first bat. I couldn't believe it. It was like my own bat. So the bats prior, it was either my brothers or like teammates that I used. And my parents actually bought me my own bat. I never forget. It was in Easton, and it was for my birthday. And locally, I think baseball starts in June or July, but we played in the summer, and it was on my birthday. I got a bat. I was hyped. I could not wait to use it. But that was the thing. I valued the bat so much more because it was mine. And it wasn't just like chucked around on the floor or whatever like that. I took care of it. It was awesome. But yeah, it was that sense of value.
Exactly. But so when you actually have value, then you actually take care of it. You actually want to properly treat it. You actually want to, take the initiative to actually, make sure it actually still looks good, it still looks nice. But like you said, like the bag, when they went to the beach to actually cost something, those were still in pristine condition, but the beach that was totally free was totally messed up.
Well, it's also kind of like when you go to someone's bathroom in their house versus public bathrooms.
Yeah.
Public bathrooms are just sometimes just be straight up foul.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what in the world was someone doing in here?
That's gross.
It
It's so
smells.
foul.
It's horrific.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And you know darn well that these people don't do that to their own houses, and that's the reason why it's public. It's open to the public. It's a public bathroom.
Yeah. They don't have to clean it afterwards.
They don't
It's a
have to
mess.
clean it afterwards. Yeah.
It's crazy. At work, I went to the bathroom the other day, and it literally, I'm at the urinal, and it looked like someone just completely peed in the corner. Like, it was just completely, the floor was yellow, and it was just all wet. I'm like, really?
Missed.
Like, there's no way to miss. It's narrow. Like, you have nowhere else to turn, but unless you turn facing the wall, then you're aiming for it.
Wow.
But, like, it doesn't make any
That's crazy because that's like
sense.
grown men.
And I said that's at
Yeah.
work where you're like, it's not like you went to like a bar and like
No,
you
you
someone
think there'd be,
understand
like-
that aspect.
Yeah,
Of it.
it's-
professional and-
it's ridiculous. And from what I hear, the women's restroom is even worse over there.
That's
It-
interesting.
I
But
don't get it though.
public bathrooms, they're wild because then like especially at big events like when we go to concerts and stuff like that, you almost like just like run in and run out.
Yeah.
Even worse is like those porta potty things, the big blue things like at the Phillies,
Yeah.
the stadium and stuff. You're like, I don't understand. Well, plus it's just like anybody can use them, right? It's like
Yeah.
as long as you're
Yeah,
in the
they're all-
parking lot,
yeah.
it just doesn't
Yep.
even matter.
Don't matter.
Yeah. All right. So for the next segment, kind of jumping in on, we're talking about earning your way. This one's kind of aimed towards Goose, but obviously anyone can chime in. So Goose, I want to ask you, what major, I guess, lesson you learned by moving up, quote unquote, in life? And when I talk about moving up, I'm specifically talking about going from being an employee to a business owner. When you went from working for 10 plus years, whatever it was, as an employee, as being a barber, to then I guess picking up that mindset of, wow, I need to own my own business and make my own name, and converting over into a business owner and being your own boss. Because you earned that. You didn't just, go giving us haircuts in the basement to opening up your own shop. Obviously, there's valuable lessons that you learned from your employer as well.
Yeah. Well, obviously, like any employee, you start off at the bottom, and then you put your time in, and you become like a valuable asset to that business or whatever it can be. But in my position, that's what it was. I started off, got taught and educated in my field, and then the owner of the shop was like seeing that I was really, really into what I was doing. I had passion for what I was doing.
Right.
So then he trusted me on opening the shop because I just would be there on time.
Right.
So he's like, "Here's the key. You open up. I'll be a couple minutes late or whatever," and then lock up at the end of the day because he would just leave early. And then it went to where I was doing that opening and closing. Then it was like, "Here, take at the end of the day, count the register, make sure all the money's right, deposit in the bank for me."
Gotcha.
So then it was like I was becoming more than just my talent in the barbershop. Now it's pretty much like managing the shop. So then in my mind, like I was doing that for years. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm pretty much running the barbershop. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm opening and I'm closing, but it's not mine.
Right.
I'm not getting like, and my income went to like a plateau. So it wasn't more or whatever. It wasn't anything more that I was getting, any bonuses or anything. So it just plateaued. I wanted to do more. I did eventually want to open up my shop, my own, and looked around some buildings, some spots. Like went out with my dad, checked out a couple buildings. One of you guys came along too.
Yeah.
That didn't work out. It really didn't pan out. But then finally got like an opportunity that just came to me that, oh, you want to open up your own barbershop? And I'm like, yeah. I've been wanting to do it, was like kind of iffy on the full like step going forward.
Right.
But in my mind, it can't be any harder than what I'm doing now because I'm pretty much running the shop.
Right.
So then as I went for it, opened up my own barbershop, and it was actually a little bit even smoother than it was for working for someone because I was doing what I was doing every day, but I didn't have someone hounding me like, oh, what time did you come in? Oh, was the money right?
The
Oh, why is
micromanagement.
this? Yeah, exactly. So now it's like, it was like honestly a little bit easier. And the employees I have now were a couple guys that I had, they worked with me in the previous shop. So I kind of knew their work ethic, their skill level and everything. So that was pretty much easy for me. But then like, I just want to grow as the barber. And, went back to, I ended up opening up a shop in our own hometown. So everyone kind of knew who I was for the most part. And then now it's just like keeping a small local business. It's not the biggest shop, but it's like a small shop. And just keeping the business growing. And it's like, it got to its like full potential. Now we're trying to like move things around to like make more money, do other things other than just cutting hair, like sell apparel, try to sell product. It was just for me, making that move was just like, I was stuck. I was at a plateau at the old place, and I wanted more. Some people are happy where they're at. Some people want to stay there. That's their max. That's where they want to be. They don't want the challenge of something else or another business or whatever. Yeah. So I just keep going and growing, and like right now I want to expand the shop. I want to just. There's always things that are going, but it takes time, patience, and there's things you got to do to go on to the next level.
So, and also to kind of continue that piece, you got also involved in the barber community. You got kind of like a semi-sponsorship through I guess it's a beard butter.
Yeah, beard butter.
And now you're going to barber expos like all over the United States.
Yeah, I've been traveling, doing showcasing for them.
Right.
Yeah, and it's just like, and that's like another thing onto the side of having my shop.
Yeah. And that went from, okay, so earning your way, that went from being an employee, but not just a regular employee, an employee that was there on time, showed, I guess, sparkles of leadership, became basically the shop manager, and you built the trust of someone, obviously, who basically handed you the keys, literally, to the business. And you even were doing, I guess, kind of like the depositing with the handling the money situation.
It's got to be a good feeling, right?
Yeah. And I knew how the business was ran. Like I was kind of forced to. I didn't.
Yeah.
It was like I always put it as like the Karate Kid, like
Mr. Miyagi.
Mr. Miyagi's telling him to do this and do that, and he's like, "Why am I doing this for what?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
This makes no sense." But in the long run, it helped them to be the best top, athlete in the tournament. So that's what it was at first. I'm like, why am I making deposits? What am I doing this for? Why am I being here first? Why am I opening up the shop? Why am I the last one? Like, why does it like? And then like years later, when I did open my shop up, it was like, that's why. Yeah. Now I know what to do. I'm not like running around clueless, like trying to figure stuff out. I already know.
You're able to tap into those
lessons.
It
was, I already know. Like, I already knew what I was going to, like, what the mornings were going to be when I walked into the shop, when I opened it.
And just to be clear, he didn't just hand over the keys to just anybody.
Yeah, it was only, like, me and another.
Two other dudes, right?
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's huge. That barbershop was big, too.
Yeah.
At the time, anyway. It was big. There was a lot of foot traffic.
Yeah.
It was, like, the place to be.
Yeah, it was right next to, like, 3 major, like, high schools in the area.
Right. Yeah, so, I mean, you could tell, obviously, so he got the keys handed to him, literally, not because he was showing up late, coming whenever he wanted to, doing sloppy, giving sloppy haircuts, not a trustworthy person when it came to money, not very responsible. No, he was at work early or on time, was a trustworthy employee, busted his tail off in and out. And I remember there was times he was there till, he would get there on a Saturday or like at 8 o'clock in the morning or whatever it was, 7:30 in the morning, and he'd be there. Now the shop would close at 2 or 3 o'clock, and he'd still be there. It was like 5, 6 o'clock, like 2, maybe 3 hours, like late, staying late. I mean, obviously that's not every day, but you did it when you had to, and you kind of just like embraced the whole management part. Because I do remember you being like, man, or even if you were done, you had to wait for the one guy who had to finish up his last haircut or something like that. So you're kind of like waiting around. Yeah, that's not an easy thing. That's not that takes a mature person. At the time you were young, how old were you? Mid-20s, early 20s?
Yeah, 24, 25.
bought your first house.
At 24, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like there was a lot going on. When did you have Ava?
27.
Okay. Yeah, that was after. And now you were still there, right? When you had it?
Yeah, I was still there, and I opened up my shop in 2010.
So 2010. Ironically, I'm actually wearing his barbershop shirt that says 2010. So he's not only did he just open up a barbershop or move up in life and earned his way there, he didn't just come late, was sloppy about it, and then all of a sudden, you know what, I don't want to listen to anybody. I'm just gonna. So you humbled yourself. You were the student,
absolutely.
right? And then you busted your tail off. You wised up, opened up your own business when it was time, and has successfully has it running for six years now, 5 years.
Yeah.
5-6 years. So that's a success story to me. That's every year is growing. And he, even if you talk to him now, obviously we're not going to put it on air, but if you talk to him in private about, goals and plans, he already has, the next thing that he wants to do with the barbershop, the next thing he wants to do with his business, what next thing he wants to do in his personal life. And I think it was just like a perfect example on seeing, you could physically see his progression, which is very, very cool. Now for you, Heck's in the corporate world, so it's kind of different how it works for him, but kind of on the same thing. He started, I guess, I don't want to say started at the bottom, but he kind of started at one point, and now he is gradually moving on up in the ranks, so to speak. Where he works at, how you want to talk about like the ranking system?
Basically, I started out as where I first started out. It was the call center. And it was though people, they have issues with their machines or printers or whatever the case may be, they'll call in and we would have to basically open up a ticket and send it off to the appropriate group for them to work on it, because every issue has a specified group that it has to get assigned to. So I started there, and basically that's pretty much low where you could start from, where I work at. And I was there for 8 years. And then all of a sudden, I just, my one coworker that I worked with, he was on third shift. He had moved off to another department. So he noticed, he knew that I wanted to get out of where I was, because time was up. It was just enough was enough. I worked my way up, not even high enough. I was on I started out as a step 11, and then I went up to a step 13.
You just outgrew that position.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just getting tedious. It was the same nonsense every day. I was working second shift, 4 to midnights. That was another thing I was getting tired of, missing, my kids' games and stuff like that, and being home with the family. And if I wanted to be home with the family, I had to take a day off or call out sick or, stuff like that. And I'm like, this is crazy, because everybody's home now. They don't need to take off. I need to take off to stay home with them. So, my coworker, he put in a good word for me to his boss, and then from there it went to, I guess it went to like this lateral move where they needed help in the state house, the governor's office. So I was working there for 6 months, I think I was there for, and it was hands on. It was desktop. I was more setting up the the PCs for the users, hardware, software, downloading like specific softwares they may need and stuff like that, or if they had issues with specific software, they were stuck with it or didn't know how to do something. I basically learned just from doing it myself, and I had to go figure it out for them or take them out of the jam, whatever it was. So then where I'm at now, the boss, he offered me a position there 6 months later after working at the governor's office. And basically when I was there, the boss gave a good word of how my work ethics were and whatnot. So he offered me the position. It was a lateral move. I didn't get any pay raise or anything like that. I still took it, not for the money. I took it for my happiness, to be home with my family and have a normal everyday job from 8 to 4 instead of doing 4 to midnight. So that was the main purpose of me going on there. And so when I got this position for desktop for the state where I work at is I came in, like I said, a lateral move, and it was a range 13. Then all of a sudden, there was openings elsewhere, but there was one opening for the governor's office where I said, I'll take this position, which was a high jump. It was a 21, and I just gave it the shot. I was like, you know what? I know them there. They liked me. I liked working with them. So I gave it the benefit of doubt.
So for 8 years, you went from 11 to 13, and in 6 months, you went from 13 to 21. Is that right?
Yes.
Wow.
Well,
okay.
So basically, I was a 13. Let me see. I was a step 13 for 4.5 years, and then I moved from my second shift position over to the first shift. When I got to my new spot, within a month, I was already jumped up.
Okay.
To range 21.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which is a higher pay, which makes me now IT specialist.
Gotcha. Okay.
So and I enjoy doing what I'm doing, and I continue to plan on going up higher as the steps go up. I mean, the ranges go up higher, all the way up to I believe it's a 39 is the highest range, but.
Right. So basically, what you're describing and how your workplace, I guess, grades people is basically on this number scale. So obviously, the higher the number,
yes, that's correct. Well,
either the more experience you have, or the more, I guess it would be experience or knowledge or experience.
Yeah. Well, so each step has 10 increments. So you can be in a step or in a range and go up to 10 increments, like 10 steps. So that's how you continue to grow as far as, the money goes and all that stuff.
Within the same area.
Right, within the same thing. So basically it gives you like a time, you give yourself a time limit. Like you need to be out there within the next 7 years if you want to continue to making more money. Because, you'll get more money, but it's not going to be as much if you don't get out of that step.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that to me, that's why I just want to ask you something. What in your mind changed I'm just baffled by the 8, or I'm not baffled, but just kind of like amazed. Like when you because I remember us having these conversations when you did that jump, then when you did the jump from 13 to 21 or whatever it was, but it was
supposed to be a 16.
Oh yeah, it was something like that. And then within like 4 months, you jumped again. Or so, it was something wild, but I remember having that conversation with you, and the numbers really don't matter. It's just like a visual representation of basically literally him moving up. But the how you go from 11 to 13, and then all of a sudden you go boom. There was a decision. I remember us having a conversation. There was a decision made that you kind of did like the second shift, but you knew how. Like you said, you were missing some things. Then you knew how important it was that you valued those things even more.
Right.
Then you went on day shift, and all of a sudden everything changed. So you went from a position on the shift that you wanted, more pay, more money. You jump whatever that is, eight levels.
8 levels. And the thing was, the position that I applied for was to leave the new position that I got hired for, was to go off to another location.
Wow. So
that was also stuck in my head is like, do you want to leave where you're at now?
Right.
And it just ended up working out was I got the title that I got, and they also fought for me to stay in my location where I'm at.
Okay. So talking about earning your way, multiple times you had stated something about offline. You said, they put in a good word for me, right?
Right.
So obviously that's something that you're displaying. There's something that you're doing. There's something that you're showing that's admirable. That's that not everyone can refer people because like, oh man, that puts my name on the line now.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Not a lot of people do that. So if someone's out there willing to stick their neck out there for you, obviously they trust you. They believe in you.
Yeah.
They know how much you're a hard
much
worker.
Appreciated also. Like
absolutely.
You appreciate how much people actually do look out for you, or not even for you, for like someone that that they're gonna get the job done, and you can trust that person. So
right. Well, they also invested time in you, so it's almost kind of like them showing off too. Like, yeah, this is my guy. Like we trained him to do certain things. We paid for some kind of education, whatever. Let me show you what we have. You know what I'm saying? It's almost kind of like, yeah, this is my guy. It's like when you have kids and you're training them to do something. Or like I remember us videotaping like James, like, oh, he can say his ABCs or whatever. He knows his colors. And it's like that's my boy.
And then when they pulls through, then you can say, yeah, that's my that's my dude. Or
yeah,
that's
success story.
That's my son. Yeah,
exactly. So to the both of you guys, and and Gabe, even you, think about real quick where you are in life, and if there's one thing you want people to know, if there's like a message you want to know that where you are, what message do you want that to be?
Working hard does get you somewhere. Not working hard, expect to sit back.
Yeah.
So just basically bust your tail at all times.
Because there was times you could admit you had your kind of thing going in neutral. It was just kind of just sitting there.
Yeah.
Obviously, for 8 years, you're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of movement there.
Right.
But then when you decided to take action, do overtime. I remember you were doing a lot of overtime. You're very committed. You're taking crazy tests and all, studying for all this stuff. Boom! It was like it was like a bait and switch. It was like within a year you flew to the top,
exactly.
basically.
Yep.
And it's still going.
Yes.
Yeah.
Goose?
No, it's just that the things aren't. It's not as easy as it really seems to be too. Like I have lost like a bunch of things to get to where I'm at. Like it's take like that, like a couple steps back to make that big step forward.
The sacrifice.
Kind of thing. Yeah. It's not like it's like, oh yeah, he's doing this, boom, 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 and you see like what the success of what like I would have or whoever in the same position would have. It is definitely like hard work. It isn't easy. There's a couple of things. There's some like you want to rip your hair out nights, and then there's time that's like after time you sit back and you see, you're like, yes.
The blood, sweat, and tears, all well worth it.
And it doesn't ever stop. Then there's like obviously then there's the next step to progression, and same thing. There's probably gonna be jams in there and like sacrifices, the decisions you have to make. Then later on you'll sit back and like, that was the right choice.
Sure, they say it's like that old saying, with every new level, there's a new devil.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
So Gabe, did you want to?
What I thought of was two things: honesty and integrity. Because like kind of like how Mikey said that when his boss started giving him more responsibility to do the books and do the money. I actually have something similar. Like my boss kind of started giving me slowly over time, gave me more responsibility, sort of like that. With like, I actually do the money, I do like
Nice.
the change and stuff like that. So, and I'm the one I'm one of the first people that comes in the morning, same thing. And I usually the backups. If somebody doesn't show up, I open up the office, I do all that stuff. So it's like, the more you show you have. You can hold that responsibility, the more they're willing to give you more responsibility. Yeah, having I don't have any managerial or anything like that, but if my boss is away, I'm almost the backup for a lot of that stuff, even just for minor for a few days here and there. But it's not like, but it shows that you have the responsibility to take on certain tasks that most other people aren't entrusted with.
And you attribute that to honesty and integrity.
Yes, for the fact that I've been there so long and proves that I can do my work. I can show up on time. I can and do the extra tasks that are assigned to me.
Yeah.
And properly.
And so I guess like the overall message when it comes to this is it's not what it seems. These guys bust their tails off day in and day out. And like a classic saying was like to overnight success, to be an overnight success, it only takes 10 years. Because people, it's funny because people just see like a good example is Justin Bieber. I know this might sound very strange at this moment, but give me a second. People just saw him blow up, right? And just like, in a sense, like his career, right? He became really famous. It almost appeared to be instantaneously, which it basically was. But he just wasn't pushed into out of nowhere, and all of a sudden he just met Usher, and that was the end of that. This kid was putting out video after video. His mom had him playing at local clubs. He was outside playing his guitar for coins and stuff like that. So there was what people don't understand is almost just like my brother Miguel. He has this like this beautiful car or whatever, and you just see that, and you're like, wow, I just want to do what he does. I'm just gonna. It must be nice, or oh, I wish I had that. But you're not seeing when he was there, like he said, sacrificing time, money, relationships, all kinds of stuff for him to actually live his dream, for him to actually manifest what he's been dreaming about literally since he was a child, right? That's the problem is with people is that they want it at the snap of a finger, but don't want to put the work in.
Yes.
Right? And a lot of times why we like expensive stuff, why we like the exotic car, it's not for us, it's our own, it's almost like our own trophy. It's our own thing. Like this is a present for me, for my hard work, a reminder of all all this stuff. And I'm not saying that's what all materialistic things are, but it's it's not just given to you. That the stuff was like earned.
Yeah.
It's a product of the effort you put in to get what you earned. It's a visualization of the effort you put into.
Absolutely, exactly. And they always say this. Some whoever says money doesn't buy happiness that's coming from a broke person.
Yeah.
Because when you're a responsible man or woman, and you actually live out your dreams, and you're actually fighting for your dreams day in and day out. And if there's a video camera on any one of us and how hard we bust our butts off every single day to have what we have, 9 out of 10 people wouldn't say crap. There's always a one crap talker, but 9 out of 10 people wouldn't say anything because you've seen it. That's the reason why you have support groups. That's the reason why you have the cheerleaders on the sidelines who are your friends and close family members they understand. They get it why you have what you have. They knew what it took you to get that, right? I mean, I remember when he did the grand opening of the barbershop, and I was just in tears the whole time. And we were like, "What?" Yeah. You would have thought it was me, but I was so genuinely happy for him because I understood how hard he worked. Now, if there's quote unquote haters out there who don't understand and saw like the hard work and the effort that was put into it, all this time invested, all this money invested, all the sacrifices that are out there, and then just pop off at the mouth without even knowing or having a clue what it took to get there, it's a slap in the face. You have no idea what it's like to do that, to own a business, to get there. Half these people don't even manifest their own dreams, their own thoughts. So the first thing they can do is just knock someone else's, right? I mean, it's just a beautiful thing to see someone who actually earned their way, and really truly live the life of their dreams. And like he said, with each level, every time he hit something, there's like a new bump. But you can stop. We stopped and we celebrated. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Even with the release of the podcast, with the release of my book, with the release of my spoken word album, we all stopped. I invited people over. We celebrated. You have to stop in those moments because you earned it.
Yeah.
What's the point of just hustling and hustling and hustling and hustling and that's it? There's no end to it. It makes no sense at all. There has to be the reward. There has to be the recognition. There has to be the plaques, even if they're mental plaques.
Yeah, because even like you're saying, like if there's no stop in kind of smell the roses type of situations, you get too much lost in the minutia of it, and you get like you can't see the forest from the trees where all you see is effort, and you see no results. Or if you do see results, you're on to the next thing and not worrying about, like I said, looking back and reflecting on what you've actually done and accomplished. And that's what your support group and also can help you do that too, because it kind of brings you back out of the situation and kind of keeps you going. I guess,
absolutely.
At the same time too.
Yeah, and it's also what you got to understand too. It's motivation for the people around you as well. When you said you're gonna do something and you do it, there's a level of respect and weight that comes along with that. You know what I'm saying? That you sat and said you're gonna do something, you did it, and all eyes are on you. If you don't do it, people aren't gonna say anything to you. But there's just like kind of this level of like I don't know about this or like this little piece of distrust kind of comes off or something like that. But there's something to be said to when someone puts it out there that they're gonna do something and they follow through with that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's just the leadership level, and that's crazy.
And like the hardest thing is to maintain it.
Yeah.
Like it's easy to hit it like a part and then you plateau, or it's like a bodybuilder. Like they'll start working out, they see gains and stuff, they don't stop. The hardest part is maintaining their physique, maintaining their strict diet every day. It's not like, oh, I got to whatever I want to weigh, my biceps are 24 inches, and then they stop. No, they keep going, and it's maintaining to keep it going. And then if they want to keep growing, they just push even harder. It's like the hardest thing is maintaining on what you have.
Exactly. And that's what even like I guess Evan was saying that when he was talking about his bodybuilding, like that. Yeah, if it's a point where you do just kind of level off, it's like, I mean, it sounds really simplistic, but he said just try harder, essentially, something, because at some point, you got to just get through whatever the hard time is at that moment, it will pass, and you will be able to get past it and move on and accomplish even bigger and better things.
Yeah, exactly. So let's jump into the next segment. What would you do? What advice would you give a person who's looking for the quote unquote get rich quick scheme or the easy way out of everything? Is this a lazy way of thinking, or is it just optimistic and unrealistic?
That kind of goes back to what you're saying. Like you want the end result before you actually put the effort into it. Yeah. And get rich quick that's no effort, obviously.
Exactly.
And that's that. I think we've always said it before too. Like the quick money is not good money because usually, one, you're not prepared to actually, if it is like, like the lottery type of stuff, you're not prepared to handle that amount of money if that's what you're going for, because you're still stuck in the same mentality that you were when you only had $500 in the bank or whatever it was.
You didn't earn it.
Exactly. Absolutely.
So yeah. So going. That's a perfect example. Going with the lottery thing where it's like this windfall of money. You didn't earn that. So, all right. So say like if you're making $50,000 a year or $100,000, whatever it is, right? And you make that. Obviously, you know what your weekly, monthly, biweekly checks are going to be. So you know how to maintain that and run your household based off that income.
Exactly.
Right. But when it's quadruple or 100 times that in the next week, you're not ready for that. There's no foundation there. So you're just blowing money or not doing anything, which is actually almost even worse.
Yeah.
Especially if it's something that's not residual.
Right, exactly. Something's not residual and it's just sitting there. Meanwhile, it could be properly invested and earning you income. Not saying that you have to go and spend the money. When someone says something like that, the first thing I think of is invest.
Yeah.
And the whole, the lottery thing, I think it's like an average of within 5 years, they're absolutely broke. Mm-hmm. Some are even in more debt than before they even won the lottery.
Yeah, because you're buying more extravagant things at that point. So
you can afford it for that moment, but you don't think about the long run of maintaining it.
Exactly. When you buy like $1 million home and what it actually takes to upkeep that.
Right.
It reminds me of the story of the Hiltons, where the grandfather who basically built the empire was a highly respected businessman. Obviously, he's still Hilton. Hotels are still around. Mm-hmm. And it took him years and years to establish not only him as a businessman, but to establish his name, to be known as, like a luxury feel hotel. And in an instant, one of his grandchildren or great grandchildren, whatever, have this bad image and put a bad name on their name. Yeah. Right. He basically, I think there was something where they removed the inheritance from this person. So they were like, you ain't gonna inherit more money. It appears that the more money you're getting, the worse decisions you're making. She was living off that name. And his name is Conrad. I knew it was it's kind of a cool name. Conrad Hilton. So the 1887 to 1979. Yeah, but I remember it was like The Men Who Built America. It's kind of one of those things that I was following, and it was super interesting. I mean, he was out when I think the Tiffany and Company became jewelers, and oh man, it's just it was what a time. And anyway, so he was one of these guys, a hoteler that established himself, worked his tail off, and at that time, people were just coming from all over places of the world to build an empire, basically, and that's what he did. And just like what we're saying before with reality TV, half these people, the kids, it's about the kids, not about the person who earned the name, right? Who became really famous because they actually did something of value, obviously, for the most of them, right? Yeah. I mean, it was like the parents who did it, and then all of a sudden the kids are somehow milking off the name, but aren't really producing anything. They're just kind of faces.
Usually, that's what they usually wind up in those reality shows, and they kind of milk those, even like that quote unquote stardom for quite a while, because they get those weird appearances for $1,000 and all that crap.
Yeah, it's like wild sponsors. Like this person, you could tell is not in a gym at all, or has a personal trainer or something, and all of a sudden they're promoting a health product. You're like, get out of here. Yeah. Especially if you're following their shows, you've never seen them, take this product or anything.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean that. So going back to the whole get rich quick kind of thing is, as Gabe said. I mean, as fast as it comes can be as fast as it goes. So slow money is okay money. That's kind of the way you want to go, because then you can handle it in small. You could digest it easier. It's almost dangerous giving a person full of that much ignorance that much money, because you don't know because that brings a lot of power. It's a powerful move, and then they're not, and that's the reason why they're broke.
And athletes kind of do the same idea.
Yeah, they say, I think it's once they retire, literally same thing. Within 10 years, they're looking to be an anchor on a sports show.
Yeah.
Because
that's so crazy.
Yeah, they didn't handle their money, or they had just bad investments, or the person that they trusted their money with wasn't good, and a lot of these guys hire their own friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
And
makes it worse because they're
trying to
spending
help.
their money.
Right.
I'm like, oh no, we'll invest it. You know, we'll look into this and get that. And next thing you know, they're like dipping into the pocket, and next thing you know, he's like a couple $100,000 short. Like, where's this money going?
And that's not with everyone. There are some a lot of those guys. They know what they're doing. They are
Absolutely.
educated, and they do have like people to help them out and stuff. But there is a group that does fall off on that.
But they know that the NFL, the NBA, and the MLB, they're very aware of this. They actually make the players take financial classes before they get their first paycheck or something. They're like in courses on how to on money management. I remember seeing an interview and saying why are most athletes broke after within 5 years of retiring. And they said you get caught up in this lifestyle. Some of these guys come from poverty, so they had nothing, right?
Crazy.
And then all of a sudden they have $1 million contract right in front of them, and within 5 years, they have like the exotic cars and just wild stuff.
I heard this thing with when Shaq, he was talking. He was like, they were like, oh, what did you do when you first got to the NBA, whatever. I think he got like a $1 million signing bonus, whatever. So he goes out and gets like a Ferrari or whatever, and he comes back home and he's like, Dad, look what I got. His dad was like, oh, where's mine? Like, I think he was just messing with him. He's like, oh, all right, let's go. They went. His dad got him a Ferrari. Comes home, they have two of them, and his mom's like, oh, where's my car? He's like, oh, all right. So he goes and gets her like a Mercedes, like a high-end Mercedes. Dude, next thing he knows, in one day he spent all that $1 million. Obviously, he knew his contracts where he was gonna get more money. But in one day he spent it all. He's like,
holy smokes.
I'm broke. Like, that was it. It was gone, and just
That's
like,
it.
But obviously, he knew what he was going into, and I think he after that, he got an advisor, and they're like, you can't, this is not good. It doesn't matter if you can't spend like this, like recklessly like that.
Yeah.
And it was funny. The way he explained it, it's hilarious.
Yeah, sure.
It's like athletes. They just spend for the moment, or they live for that moment. They're not thinking for afterwards, because like you said, they know they're getting more money, so they're just buying these fancy cars or buying these fancy houses. But they're not thinking of long term. When they retire, are you going to be able to afford all this stuff?
Right.
So what I don't know if they show them that like in when they're taking these courses, like to think about the future, or do they just allow them to blow their money right off the bat like that, like buy all these fancy cars?
It's
like,
their money.
What do you need? I understand it's their money, but like, why is it that you need $300,000 cars sitting in the driveway? You can only drive one. You're one person. You can only drive one. I understand it's a luxury to have it. I understand you get the money for it, but I mean, to buy a car to have it sitting.
Well, yeah, but also you're saying this as a 35-year-old. You gotta understand,
True.
these guys are 21-year-olds.
Yes.
Sometimes never even had a job, never even got a paycheck before, and you're saying it with a more realistic perspective on life. Sometimes it's
ignorance.
It's ignorance. That's what it is.
But that's like, that could be their dream, like that's their passion, those cars. And like you said, they can only drive one car at a time. That's like you're in the IT world. You have 5 laptops. You can only use one at a time. Like and there's, I'm just saying that's just like in their work. Yeah, that's just, which they're two different levels. I'm just saying that's just.
Absolutely.
And there's like crazy testosterone going on there and ego.
Yep.
Their ego is the biggest thing. Like, it's almost like they want to prove to the world that they're a man, that they earned their way, that they made it, quote unquote.
They don't learn responsibility by that either. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, because they're athletes, so it's kind of it's a different way of working hard.
True.
So it really is, and they're that's not to discredit what they do. It's just when it's a windfall of money, it's different when it comes like in an instant like that. It's totally different because, like I said, like their line of work has nothing to do with money. Like they're just. Unless obviously they're sponsored, but I'm talking about like when they're in high school, you just it's a physical thing, and then obviously the mental thing is you're studying like the tapes and stuff like that. Yeah. But they earned where they're at. It's just when it's so much so soon with so little time to even comprehend what's happening. It's like a whirlwind. And like I said before, going back, they're young.
Yeah.
Like you can't take that away from them. Like we're we could be we're all in our 30s. Yeah. So we're kind of looking at it like, what have you done when you turned 19, between 19 and 22, and someone cuts you a check for $50 million? You know what I mean? We can't.
Crazy.
Dude, we did dumb things, and we were making like $20,000 a year. We're doing dumb things.
Yep.
Yeah. Exactly.
Imagine 20 million.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's very interesting. But yeah, they say this too. They should have more financial classes like in high school or middle school. Not just economics where it's an elective, because a lot of times that's what it was. Like you got to pick what kind of math class you wanted or whatever. I think it should be a mandatory thing, just as social studies, math, English, because when you graduate, what do? You have to all of a sudden start taking care of finances and stuff like that. That's like the huge part of
growing
right.
up. Holy
Exactly.
smokes, yeah.
So I think there should be more anyway. I know there's movements out there that they're coming around to this. I know the guy, a financial guy, Dave Ramsey. He has like a program that high schools can buy into. Or I think he donates. I'm not sure. Also, Success Magazine has like a Success for Teens kind of thing where it's a program that's geared towards the slight edge, and the slight edge being multiple things. Obviously, it's a book, but they donate their book to whatever middle school or whatever it is. But stuff like that, I think, needs to be and what everything that we're talking about is education, not education as in college or whatever. It's like education as in self-education. You getting yourself educated the right way to be able to handle these kind of situations, which goes back to earning your way. So if you did earn that, why don't you put some and invest some time into learning how to keep it?
Yeah.
So just blowing it right out the window, like you bust your tail, and actually using that platform that they have for a much better, cause or reason. Obviously, this is not every single person. There's intelligent athletes out there.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
People who do smart things with their money. But that was really directed to the kid who wants the get rich quick thing, or is looking to become like an athlete. It's just something to think about. You're gonna come into this windfall of money. You got to know how to handle it. But in the same way, you have to understand that you earn that. And now also the other thing that comes with that is being a celebrity. And some people can't handle that either.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just lose it.
Yeah.
We've seen that happen. People have meltdowns right in front of us.
Yeah.
But earning your way is something totally different. So when you see someone, question and you kind of place judgment on them because of the stuff that they have or the things or the moves that they're making and everything, I still do this every day too. I think we all do. You still got to kind of step back and kind of like appreciate it in a sense, and like, you don't know what they did to get that. Exactly. Maybe they didn't earn it, but at the same time, you don't know that either for a fact. So you kind of got to congratulate. Oh man, it's just a different thing. It's just a different beast. It's just a different way of thinking, a different way of living our lives. Is go out there, earn your stripes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can't. Someone else can't do your push-ups for you.
No.
It's like in the fitness area, they say, I can't. That's what they say. I can't do your push-ups for you. I mean, I can show you all the right stuff to do. I can show you all the workouts. I can show you all the proper, diets or nutrition and stuff like that. But I can't do the work for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Your body's gonna show the work that you've put into it.
Yeah, it's like some people. It's like some people. I've been working here for 10 years and I'm still stuck in the same spot. Where he's only been here for 8 years and he's already up high. Like, people don't understand. Like, you need to earn that. Just because you and someone else has been working together the same amount of time doesn't mean that just because he moved, you're moving also.
Yeah.
You need to earn your stripes just the way he earned them. Maybe he's doing something a little extra. Maybe you want to talk to him to see what he's doing extra to get those stripes or to get recognized or anything like that. Yeah. Don't expect someone to pull you up without putting help for yourself first.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, help yourself out first and then doing what you do, and then your job will get recognized and people will see what you've been doing and stuff like that, and then that's how you get done. I know a lot of people always want that, he's going, I'm going to get it too. Yeah. Like,
or even like you said, like if somebody's been there 10 years, just because you've been there 10 years doesn't still mean you earned a higher.
You're not entitled to it.
Exactly.
Did you work for it? Did you earn
exactly?
it?
Because you had stuff to. Yeah, exactly. Effort doesn't time doesn't necessarily equal effort.
I mean, it's basically you're talking about like the effectiveness of a worker you are.
Yeah.
You're both there for 8 hours, but how much work are you actually?
What are you getting? Yeah, how
Because if
effective
you're just
are you?
going through the motions and not actually, going the extra step, if you want to get to a higher area, if you're not putting the extra effort into it, then yeah, you don't necessarily deserve that same area, especially if somebody else is putting more of the work into it.
Right, exactly.
All right. So that being said, we have episode number 11 wrapped up in the books. And the way we like to kind of end things here at the Rotated Views studio is by some quotes, leave you guys with some quotes. And today we have Dennis Prager and a Ben Roethlisberger, yes, the NFL football player, quote. So the first one is by Dennis Prager. As you get older and wiser, you realize that when people are given anything without having to earn it, unless they are physically or mentally utterly incapable of earning anything, they become ungrateful and lazy. They also become less happy.
That's true.
So true.
Wow. Especially, I'm surprised we didn't even talk about being an ungrateful part, but
That's a whole other level on that.
Yeah. All right, and so like the second quote is here by Ben Roethlisberger. It goes, leadership is something you earn, something you're chosen for. You can't come in yelling, I'm your leader. If it happens, it's because the other guys respect you. That's wild. And that's what I was kind of talking about, like, when you say you're going to do something, you do it. It's the mutual, you get the respect of the people that are around you and are watching that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there you have it, guys. Earning your way. In this episode, we discuss earning your way to the top, success, get rich quick schemes, and lessons from moving up in life. We wrap the episode up with quotes from Dennis Prager and Ben Roethlisberger. Awesome. Guys, thanks again for joining us. The Rotated Views podcast was produced for self-development purposes. Huge shout out to our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by the Blessed Lifestyle brand. That is BL3SSED.com. Also sponsored by The Motivation Files Unleashed. This motivational mixtape will be your fuel for success. Available on all platforms. Guys, don't forget to visit the website, JimmyleeVelez.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Rotated Views. If you have any inquiries or questions, email us at info@JimmyleeVelez.com. On behalf of myself and the rest of the crew, we wish you massive success. Stay blessed.